I am Shanti Swarup, retired professor of political science. And I have to explain my credentials to you. Why is it that I am talking to you? I am talking to you as a former professor of political science and at the same time a person who went through the period of independence, the period before independence, when I got involved in national movement politics, which was that national movement which was led by the most wonderful leader of the world, Mahatma Gandhi, a man with enormous compassion and enormous sagacity, wisdom, and had the support of such people as Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Khudai Khidmatgar, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, and Maulana Abul Kalam Azad. These people were the ones with whom I try to understand the purposes for which they were fighting and the purposes for which they instilled in me at that time. Slowly and but surely, I developed all the understanding of Gandhi and his friends. Among these, the most important issues were the question of freedom. And I, as a student, went into the student movement and became one of its leaders in Lahore. I became General Secretary of the Lahore Students' Union. It was during the Quit India movement that when Gandhi gave a call for Quit India movement, I went into the struggle, led a strike in Lahore, which led to my arrest in 1942, sometime in August, and participated in all other struggles including movement to develop a strong movement for getting Gandhi and other leaders of the Indian national movement who had been arrested after the Quit India, beginning of the August, as a part of the Quit India movement. It is in that capacity I am looking at you. Here were these people, a man whose sense of justice, compassion, belief in God. But belief in God, he was a great Ram Bhagat, for example. He went into a trance when singing Raghupati Raghav Rajaram. But his God was not exclusive. His vision of God was not exclusive. He thought of God as Ishwar Allah. Tore nam, sabko samati de Bhagwan. It is this type of thinking. And then there were these others, Patel, Jawaharlal. Jawaharlal Nehru was a great intellect, a man with great understanding of history, a sense of history, and a man with great scientific temper. They understood that Gandhi, Nehru, Patel, these people understood the need for a secular India. This secular India was needed, because if internet, and this was based on the idea, on an understanding of history. For example, in Britain, in, in 17th century, there was a long civil war, which included the period when Cromwell became the top man, throwing out the Stuart dynasty out of power. But there was return of the Stuarts, and it was felt that this war cannot stop unless the two major sects, Catholics and Protestants, had a truce, an idea which was developed by Thomas Hobbes, the great philosopher Thomas Hobbes, and John Locke, who both pleaded for tolerance of each other's views, tolerance towards each other, so that the country could be saved. If the country continued to have continuous war and bitterness with each other, it would be impossible to have a stable, strong government. The same was the position in France, where Huguenots and Catholics were having an internecine warfare. And it was Baudin who brought the idea that a strong state would be possible only if the state did not interfere in matters of religion. State remained outside so this is why the whole idea of secularism. And then they were liberal thinkers, capable of understanding the other's point. They did not impose their views on anybody. They were in continuous discussion with each other about various subjects. That is why Gandhi, Nehru, Patel, Abdul Ghaffar Khan, and Maulana Azad. Maulana Azad, despite his difficulty with English, was a great scholar. So these people brought in a new vision of India, differed from each other, and yet supplemented each other. It is well known that Gandhi and Nehru had great differences, but they had common interests. None of them thought that they are infallible. You remember the case of Gandhi calling off the non-cooperation movement at Chauri Chaura when a little violence took place. That is the stature of those people. Mistakes to be admitted, not to be passed over, not to be ignored. The idea was, now it is these people who brought us independence. And then we have to take into consideration the fact that as a result of our becoming independent, we made a constitution. That constitution was passed by the Constituent Assembly. The drafting committee was headed by no less a man than Baba Ambedkar, who was one of the greatest legal luminaries of his time. So I have to say this, that this constitution, which was given to us in 1949, had a certain vision. Its vision is of a secular, democratic state which delivers liberty, freedom, justice, both justice economic, social and political. Liberty and freedom of thought and expression. All this is involved in. To say one thing more, it also involved the idea of setting up a judiciary, which was the custodian of the Constitution. And that is that all aspects of the Constitution will be defended by the judiciary, judiciary with Supreme Court at the top. Now it is a pity. I feel sad about what has been happening. It is not only true of the kind of tension that exists today within society, but also I feel sad about the judiciary not playing its role the way it was intended to. Let us take into consideration Kashmir issue, abrogation of Article 370. I am amazed that a bureaucracy as capable and competent as the Indian bureaucracy, a foreign service as competent as Indian foreign service, has not been able to prevent the political leadership from going ahead with the abrogation of Article 370. I do not know whether they did, in fact, advise the political leadership against it. They ought to have. The reason is there are many things which are clearly stated in the negotiation which took place at the time of the accession of Jammu and Kashmir to India. It has to be remembered that Maharaja Hari Singh was involved in dual negotiations, one with Pakistan, one with India. And he wanted to know who gives better terms. In fact, he first sent his Prime Minister, Mir Chand Mahajan, to India. He went along with Sardar Patel. Sardar Patel was then not only Home Minister, but Minister in charge of states. And in that capacity, he took Mir Chand Mahajan to Nehru. Nehru, after discussing the term, Nehru sent him back and he said, I am not going to agree to this. Then Mir Chand Mahajan and Patel left. It is to the good luck of India and the Indian people that at that time in Nehru's office, Sheikh Abdullah was there. So he sent a letter to Nehru requesting him not to send Mir Chand Mahajan back because then he would go to Pakistan. So the matter would have been finished if Sheikh Abdullah was not there. But he was there. Now this has to be seen and the implication of what it was a moral contract which was conceived by Patel, Nehru, Mountbatten, and Maharaja Hari Singh, which led to the present position, the position of August 2019. It is that position which cannot be disturbed, could not have been. And that is why I feel sad. Supreme Court, which is the custodian of the Constitution, did not immediately act on the issue of Kashmir. Same, I would say, is true of CAA, Citizen Amendment Act, because it seems to differentiate on the basis of religion between one set of citizens and other set of citizens. There should be no difference according to the Constitution between people having different faiths. There is a certain morality which we call public morality. Now that public morality must become the basis of our political life. Whether sometimes you have to lose in the interest of public morality. Look at the loss that India felt when Gandhi gave up the non-cooperation movement, called it off. It was Gandhi got a setback in politics. But there was an advantage which also came. Anyway, I don't want to go into this. These are issues of very great importance which you have to consider. I was feeling very distressed and disturbed at all these developments and was almost in a state of depression. But luckily I find that despite all the despair which I had, I find you people, young people of India, emerging as the saviors of Indian Constitution and the democracy with the secular democracy which we have developed in India. I hope that you will succeed, and with your zest and strength, India will re-emerge as a rejuvenated society. Best of luck to all of you. Please don't mind that a 96-year-old man is advising you. I'm not advising. I'm only expressing my views. Kindly continue the struggle as the song is देश को रखो मेरे बच्चों संभाल. I don't deserve to call you mere bachcho, because some of you may be old, but I hope those who are hearing are not all above 96, and therefore I can call you bachcho. Thank you very much.